The ultimate Australian boxing challenge takes place in Sydney tomorrow night when champion Paul Briggs takes on #1 contender Glen Kelly for the OPBF light heavyweight title. Both fighters made the scale at today's weigh-in.
He weighs exactly the same, 79.38 kilograms or 175 pounds.
After 2 years of negotiations, many critics claim the bout will bring together two of the country's most talented fighters. Well, that bout is just one of the many making news at the moment, and joining me in the studio now is boxing aficionado and the editor of secondsout.com, Paul Upham. Paul, welcome to Toyota World Sports.
Michael.
Tell us this big fight tomorrow night, how important is it?
Really, for Briggs and Kelly, it's defining for their careers. Kelly had that disappointing fight against Roy Jones Jr. He's on his way. He wants to show the Australian fans he's better than that. And Paul Briggs, one of the most exciting rising stars in the sport today here in this country.
Now, Kelly was given a real touch-up in Miami against Roy Jones Jr. Is tomorrow's fight the beginning of the end for him?
Well, really, he has to put a good performance on. He has to beat Paul Briggs to show that he deserves another shot on the world scene. And Paul Briggs has said that he wants this fight for the last 2 years, and he's very determined to knock Glen Kelly off and show he's Australia's best light heavyweight.
And he said that Kelly may have already received his payday last fight.
Oh, Paul Briggs is very confident. He's been saying he's going to beat Glen Kelly for the last 2 years, and he says this is the end of Glen Kelly and he'll be retiring after this fight.
And there's no love lost between the two?
No, they really hate each other, these two guys. They've been each other for the last 2 years, and it's been a real war of words. And then tomorrow night, the Horden Pavilion, we'll be able to see the war of fists.
Let's go back to the De La Hoya and Vargas fight last Sunday. For once, a big fight really did live up to its expectations.
All-time classic, Mike. Probably one of the best fights in the last 10 years. Two of the best guys in the world at each other, and they put on a brilliant performance.
What's next for these two fighters, especially Vargas, who said that his career revolved around doing well at this fight?
Veneno Vargas was very vocal. He built his whole career on defeating De La Hoya. He said nothing after the fight. We haven't heard anything since. Very, very hard for him to come back. For Oscar De La Hoya, he'd love a rematch with Felix Trinidad, and his promoter Bob Arum's prepared to offer Trinidad $20 million to take the fight.
Are we going to see De La Hoya for many more years, you think?
I think he'd like to fight another 2 years and take some big fights. He only wants to fight big fights now and really define his place in the career, and it'll probably be a Hall of Fame position one day.
Yeah, it was a great fight, wasn't it? What about some news on Kostya Tszyu? First of all, he's patched up his differences with Johnny Lewis, I read today.
It's great news for both of them. And also I've talked to Tszyu management today, and they have confirmed Kostya has signed a contract to fight his next fight here in Australia. It'll be on Sunday, January 19, and it'll be either in Sydney or Melbourne.
It's been many years since Kostya last fought in Australia. 5
years since he fought in Australia. Tremendous opportunity for the fans to see Kostya. He's so well liked not only here in Australia but around the world. His website ktboxing.com gets thousands of hits every day, and this fight was in huge demand, and we're lucky enough to see it here in Australia.
Do you think that'll be his swan song?
Possibly, but I think Kostya's like to have a few more fights next year, try and really define himself and cement his position as one of the all-time greats.
Tell us about his opponent, very experienced, I believe, James Leisure.
Jesse James Leisure, yeah, former world champion. The American television network that promotes Kostya's fights insisted that Kostya fight him because he's such a great fighter, and he'll prevent a tremendous fight for the Australian fans for Kostya Tszyu versus Jesse James Leisure.
One more question. What's the latest on the Aussie fighter Hussein?
Hussein, Jeff Fennick's boy, has been offered a world title shot, the IBF champion Iron Pacheco in Colombia in late October, and Jeff and Hussein are just weighing up the options now, but tremendous fighter, and he could be one of our best in the next few years.
So it seems to me like there's some great things happening in the world of boxing right now.
It's an exciting time for boxing, an exciting time to be a fan of the sport.
All right, Paul, congratulations, well done, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Mike.